This is Texans TV. Texans Extra Points, presented by Community Coffee, official coffee of the Houston Texans. Also sponsored by Reliant, the official energy provider of the Houston Texans. And by your Houston area Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. And by Amegy, the official business bank of the Houston Texans.
Let's go, bro. What we got, man? Hey, 1, 2, 3.
And here's a pick. The Texans have the rock. Here comes pressure. He's going to go down. Touchdown, Houston. Rock and roll.
Happy New Year and welcome to Texans Extra Points. This is the finale of Texans Extra Points for the 2022 season. My name's Drew Dougherty. I'm your host. I got my two pals, Sean Pendergast of Sports Radio 610, the pre- and the post-game shows as well for the Houston Texans, and the voice of the team, Marc Vandermeer. It's great to see you both. Are you guys ready?
Ready.
Happy New Year. I love it. Thank you. Happy New Year to you. We got to get into what's going to go on because we're giving you very compelling reasons why Andre Johnson belongs in the Hall of Fame. We know you know anyway, but we're going to give you some more reasons why. Plus, we're talking about changes to the defense for the future. And as always, we got to get you a Texan to watch against the Colts and two keys to a game or keys to a victory over Indianapolis. But we start with Dre. Why does he belong in?
Well, there's so many reasons, and Drew, I know you have all these great stats, and I'm sure Sean has a lot of great stuff, but when you look at what his peers say about him, the respect he got around the league, look, this team didn't win Super Bowls. This team only got as far as the divisional round. It took him a long time to even play in a playoff game, but he was putting up monster numbers pretty much from the get-go, and once he aligned with Matt Schaub in the Kubiak system, the yardage increased. Touchdowns were never quite where you wanted them to be, but there were a lot of factors that went into that. But catches and yards, top 11 all time, that is phenomenal stuff. He belongs in Canton.
Okay, sold.
Yeah, well, I think if you look, I'll just take it a little more micro and compare him to his peers that he's going to be competing with in all likelihood to get into the Hall of Fame. Guys like Reggie Wayne, Torrey Holt, Steve Smith, particularly Wayne and Holt, they had other elite Hall of Fame level players on that offense to garner attention, whereas Dre was the focal point of everything. And they had quarterbacks. No disrespect to Matt Schaub. Matt Schaub was a fine NFL quarterback. They had Kurt Warner and Peyton Manning, who were Hall of Famers. You put Andre Johnson with Peyton Manning, he's Jerry Rice.
Yeah, that's a great point. You swap him out with those guys, and the numbers go. Mine is this, okay? There's only 10 guys ahead of him, all-time career receiving yards. He's got 14K. Over 14 seasons, he averaged 1,000 plus. Put him in. I don't care if you're doing that for the crummy Texans in an early part of his career, for the air raid offense out at Texas Tech, for the 49ers dynasty. You do that over 14 years, you're a Hall of Famer in my book. Okay, case closed. Go to HoustonTexans.com for more reasons why Andre needs to be in this Hall of Fame. But let's talk about the current crop of players and what does a healthy trio of Dameon Pierce, Nico Collins, and John Mechie the third mean for the Texans in 2023?
It means some excitement for the fans, I think. You know, Dameon Pierce himself already generated a lot of excitement for people this year. Nico Collins did it when he was on the field, and I think health is the big key. Even though Dameon ended the season on the injured reserve list, health is the worry for two totally different reasons with those two receivers. They got to get the quarterback position right, though. You know, it means a whole lot more if they've got a quarterback that's helping them pile up some yards.
And there's going to be changes, we're sure about that. There's probably going to be additions to that trio that I mentioned at those spots. But what does that Trinity do for you, Marc?
Well, I can tell you, my son already has a Mechie jersey, all right? Yes, and we are here at NRG Stadium. I see Mechie walking around the halls. I get excited about the prospect of Mechie being in this offense with who else you mentioned, Dameon Pierce and, of course, Nico Collins. But guess what? They're going to add to the broth. They're going to stir it up, and they're going to be a much better offense. They need to be, obviously, in 2023.
Let's stick with you. Complete this sentence. The O-line for next season is
going to be fortified in the interior. They're going to be better off inside, whether it's Kenyon Green year 2 getting better, whether they change up at center or add to it somehow, add to the depth of it. I just think they're going to be a whole lot better from tackle to tackle. And Titus Howard and Laramie Tunsil being back is going to be big for this football team as well. They ran it pretty well this year with the passing game improving. Last year we were saying if the running game is better, the passing game will be better. I think with a better passing game, you'll see even better results in the running game because they'll add to the backfield talent.
No doubt. How do you complete that sentence? The O-line for next season is?
Expensive. It's expensive. And I say that not to joke around. I mean, there's a lot invested in the offensive line. You got Laramie, who's the biggest cap hit on the team. Titus is going to be in his fifth-year option. I think that's an area where they're going to spend in free agency. I could see center being a position where they spend. So I think expensive is you've invested a lot there, and that's got to be the fulcrum of whatever it is you're doing offensively.
I like it. I like the word fulcrum, too. It's just one of my favorite words. He just talked about investing, and it's time to invest in John Harris because he's got this week's version of the Telestrator, and it's one of the best ways you can spend your time.
Since 1991, only one rookie has had 130-plus tackles and 5 interceptions on the year, and that's number 5, Jalen Petrie. Well, let's take a look how he got interception number 5 because it's a brilliant, smart play from a guy just learning how to play free safety in the league. And we'll take a look here. Jaguars are just outside the red zone, but the Texans are going to play cover 3 here. So they're going to drop in zone, and then Jalen's responsible for the middle of the field. So you're playing cover 3, 1, 2, 3. Jags are going to come with a bunch here. So they're going to take the point man of the bunch, run a shallow, and then they're going to play essentially high-low here. They're going to have a snag route, which is just a little right there from Christian Kirk, and they're going to work the glance route from Marvin Jones. So he's going to extend Nelson out here. So Nelson's got to get wider than he is, and then he's going to work back inside. This is a money route against cover 3. It's a money route, except that guy's money right there, Jalen Petrie. So watch him get to the middle of the field here. And as soon as Beathard settles, he knows, wait a second, nobody else can threaten my area. I'm going to read his eyes, and I'm going to go make a play. So as he gets his glance route here, Petrie's going to jump in front with the pick. You can see him breaking as that ball is coming out of his hands right there. Even though he's middle of the field, he makes the play on that right there. Beathard never sees Petrie. He's trying to throw it away from Nelson, and Petrie is just there to go make a play. That is a wonderful play made by a young player in really his only 9th or 10th game at free safety. He's going to only get better, and that's scary for the rest of the league.
3rd down and 5, Jags at the Houston 21. Beathard shotgun, Hasty to his left, bunch formation right here is the snap. Beathard over the middle, and it's intercepted. Petrie with it across the 15 and down at the 19-yard line. Petrie dove for it and got the pick, and the Texans have the rock.
Obo Okoronkwo, sometimes difficult to say, but you got to say it a lot more because he's making a lot more plays, including this TFL against the Jags to start the second half. Since week 9, number 45, who you see right here, has been all kinds of phenomenal. So the Jags are going to try and get Chris Manhertz onto him on a little inside zone play here. Now, when they bring Zay Jones right here in there, it kind of messes everything up, and it looks like this actually is duo instead of inside zone. But either way, Manhertz can't get to Obo, and Obo is so quick off the ball. I don't know if Manhertz would have been able to. But watch Obo right here. Watch that inside arm. He does a great thing here. He dives inside, but he gets that arm underneath to get clean and stay square, and then he's going to make a play in the ball carrier. That quickness is outstanding. So now let's see it from the end zone view. And you'll see him here. He's going to knife inside. Manhertz can't get there, has some trouble with Jones, but the way Obo gets through right there, watch, see how that arm comes underneath the rip. Hasty's got nowhere to go, and then Obo makes the great solid TFL. First 7 games of the year, Obo didn't have 1 TFL. Since then, he's been tackling guys for a loss every single week since. He is creating a future for himself right here with the Houston Texans in his hometown. A-Leaf represent, yo.
Handoff, Hasty blasted in the backfield by Obo. A TFL for the Houstonians.
Johnson with the catch. Touchdown Texans. Spectacular catch by Andre Johnson.
That was a touchdown. Andre Johnson scored late. Jacoby Jones would catch a 2-pointer after, and the Texans would tie that one up on Monday Night Football, and then a pick six kiboshed that win that would be. But he also had a 46-yard. We could go on and on and on with the Andre highlights. It's Sean Pendergast, it's Marc Vandermeer, and we're going to talk about defense now in 2023. positions at which you will see some pretty big changes defensively. Where are you thinking?
I think there's tweaks all along each level of the defense. You know, the defense was improved this year, and they got better as the season went on. The one that pops into my head, I could see them looking at a safety to play alongside Jalen Petrie. Jonathan Owens has done yeoman's work for what Jonathan Owens is, the level of player that he is. He's done a nice job. I just don't know, if you're trying to get to be an elite defense, I think having two safeties back there who are real ball hawks and that are able to come in and mix it up. Yeah. I could see safety being that position.
Okay, you're going safety. What about you, Mark?
Well, they're going to continue to work up front here because they tend to get pass rush from places you might not have expected it. Oboe on a run late in the season, and what Jerry Hughes did in year number 47 for him. But when you look at the interior, those games without Malik Collins, they were tough. Had a difficult time stopping the run. They were getting blasted at times, and I know the young guys play well with Heinisch, your fellow alma mater member, all right, and also Roy Lopez. But I think you're going to see an extra player in there of some magnitude to help out, whether it's through the draft or free agency, because they need that in the rotation.
Now, we're all like-minded individuals. We want more wins. This is not a good season when you lose a dozen-plus games. But I think we're also in union in that we were pretty excited about what we saw from Christian Harris and Jalen Petrie. So give me the combined stat line, Mark, of Petrie and Harris, tackles and takeaways against the Colts. What are they going to get?
Against the Colts?
Yes, we're just sticking local. We're staying.
All right, I'm going to go 20 tackles. All right, this is combined, right?
Yes.
And I'm going to be, look, I'll take one takeaway because between those two, I mean, Harris is a linebacker. Does he get a strip maybe? Does Petrie get another pick to make it 6 on the year?
I think 2 weeks ago.
Guys like Shaw might set the over-under at maybe 1 at this.
For turnovers in this game? Yeah, among those two guys, I'd set the number, I know we're going to get to that, much higher for the game itself, yeah.
Because of the quarterbacking situation for the Colts, perhaps.
And the fact they like turning the ball over as a team, as a squad, that's
I
one
wouldn't say
thing.
they like it.
They're very proficient. They seem to like it, Drew. They do it a lot.
So he went 20-1. What are you doing with those two?
He's right. Mark's right around where I would have been with it too. I'll say maybe a little bit higher on the tackles. Petrie's been a beast when it comes to just being around the football a lot lately. Yeah, and I think Harris is probably going to get more tackles than usual because I think the Colts are going to be, even though they don't have Jonathan Taylor, they don't really have anybody. They're going to be leaning on that running game, I think, against the Texans.
All right, you guys know, he especially, because we sit near each other, I banged my head against my computer over the last month or so because the Texans are taking the ball away at a very solid rate, and they're not getting W's. I mean, they've won one time over the last month or so, but they keep rising in takeaways. 1.5 has been the number. I think it needs to rise in this game. I'm going to set it at 2.5. Are they over or under that number against the Colts?
I'm going to go over if you give me a little extra, if it does go over 2.5, a little extra sauce on there. The Colts, as I just mentioned, they lead the league in interceptions and fumbles lost. So they hit the exacta when it comes to turning the football over.
They're special at that.
I'll go over, especially with a backup quarterback.
No doubt. You over?
I'll go under, but I still think this is a winnable game. It's the last house on the left here, and the way everybody was going into the weekend with the DeMar Hamlin situation, I'm not so sure how it's going to be. I favor the road team in these situations, actually, because the focus and everything is going to be there for the Houston Texans, and they want this one badly. We'll see how it goes.
Okay, it's time to take a break, and before we do, we've got some Texans trivia. Think about this. From which Houston Texans quarterback did Andre Johnson catch his last touchdown as a Texan? We'll have that answer later on in Texans Extra Points.
There's pressure. Matt steps to his right. Matt trying to step up. Matt heaves it toward the end zone. Wants Andre Johnson. He makes the catch for a Texans touchdown. Andre Johnson plucks it out of the air, and the Texans will tie this game. Matt Schaub just said, go ahead and get it. You're the best wide receiver in the league.
Andre Johnson and the Texans beating Washington, that iconic picture of him spiking the ball and doing the arm signal. Drew, Sean, Mark, good to be with you all.
That's the all-time highlight.
That's your all-time highlight?
That's the all-time Andre Johnson moment.
We had this conversation, you and I did, yeah.
I still love the one where he blew up all those Cardinals, like 3 or 4
It was
Cardinals.
great, but you lost the game.
Yep. I know. Okay. How bad are the Colts, Mark?
I delight in saying this. They're really bad. And who would have thunk it? Because in the offseason, all right, it looked pretty good on paper. All right, it didn't work out with Wentz. Get Matt Ryan in there. You got Jonathan Taylor. Oh, my gosh, they're loaded. DeForest Buckner, Shaq Leonard, all those great players. And then the wheels come off. And I think they got it going too early with the changes. You know, they didn't need to go to Ehlinger right away. I think if you allowed Frank Reich to work it out with Matt Ryan, the way the division is playing out this year, they would have been in it. I don't know if they would have won it, but they would have been in it late. They would have figured it out, but everything fell apart. They got a TV analyst to be their head coach, and I think that, you know, I'm really loving this for the Colts, but at the same time, I mean, you know, I don't want to delight in somebody else's misery, although I often do with AFC South teams that lose.
Well, listen, I got to be upfront about it. Coming into the season, I thought they were the team to beat in the AFC South. So, I mean, clearly they are not, but what happened to them?
They're a bad football team right now, but I don't think the roster is horrible when they're fully healthy. You know, they're missing their best player on either side of the football. Jonathan Taylor is banged up all year when he wasn't literally uninjured reserve like he is now, and Shaq Leonard was banged up for most of the year. Those are their two best players, you know, on either side of the football. Whatever you feel about Quentin Nelson as a guard, but I'm still like the two marquee players.
Let's stick with you, and I know this is part of your keys to a victory later, but what are the challenges that Ehlinger presents at quarterback, Sam Ehlinger?
Yeah, toughness. I mean, probably a little chip on his shoulder like a 6th-round pick would have, and he can make some plays with his legs. You know, he's not Justin Fields or Lamar Jackson or anything like that, but he can move a little bit. He can scramble. He's adequate at a lot of different things, and like any backup quarterback, especially one going against a team from his home state of Texas, he'll come into that game with a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, and it could be one of those situations for the Colts. This is what they're hoping, that he got in there, he wasn't ready, got out of there, got to watch again. Now he gets back in there, similar to maybe Mills last year when Mills came back the final 5 games and played a lot better. Maybe Ehlinger plays a lot better in his return, so we'll see how it goes. You know, Nick Foles clearly didn't do the job, and Matt Ryan just wasn't having a Matt Ryan type year.
Yeah, he gives them a better chance to win than Foles would have, I think.
Very quickly, the main fangs on this defense have, you know, been taken away, but this is still a defense that can play, the Colts defense.
Oh, like Sean said, the roster is good. And, you know, everything we're saying about the Colts and we're having fun with it, they have the nucleus where they can bounce back quickly if they get quarterback right and some other things, get the coaching staff together. They could really get it going quickly in the AFC South the way it's set up right now. So I wouldn't count them out for next year, contending for the division perhaps.
All right, we got to get to Texans to watch. Who's yours against the Colts?
All right. Well, look, we've gone all over the roster here. All right, but I want to see something out of Philip Dorsett before the year ends. You know, and either he or Chris Moore, but I'll pick Dorsett right here. Former Colt, Miami Hurricane, yeah. And maybe this is one shining moment at the end of this 2022 season where he can really make a difference on offense.
He took some heat when he was drafted, and it wasn't him taking the heat, but it was the GM who took it by drafting him.
Because they had some firepower already at receiver.
Yeah, I like that one. How about you?
Mine's Kenyon Green. You know, Mark just got done talking about the defense. They still have pieces on defense. Their strengths that they still have on defense line up perfectly with what the Texans' weakness is on offense, which is the interior of that offensive line. They've got Grover Stewart and DeForest Buckner on that interior of their defensive line. So one more chance for Kenyon Green to show himself, to give Texan fans some optimism that he's going to progress, and the green arrow will be pointed up for him in a second.
Wild card Jerry Hughes. Let's get the OG.
Yeah, I was just going to say that because he's a former Colt. Yep. He's a captain. This has been a trying week with everything going on DeMar Hamlin-wise, but he could also get to double-digit sacks if he gets one in the game against Colts. All right, we've got keys to a victory coming up. We've also got the answer to that Texans trivia, so don't you move a muscle. Texans Extra Points is coming right back.
Texans Extra Points, presented by Community Coffee, official coffee of the Houston Texans. Also sponsored by Reliant, the official energy provider of the Houston Texans. And by Mattress Firm, the official sleep partner of the Houston Texans.
Keenum shotgun. 2nd down and 3 at the Jacksonville 8. Here's the snap. Case fakes the gift, throws to the end zone. Hits Andre Johnson. Touchdown, Houston. The Texans retake the lead.
Earlier, we asked you who threw the last touchdown pass as a Texan to Andre Johnson. You guys got some guesses?
All right, you go first, Sean.
Case Keenum is my guess.
He had it during the break.
It's a good guess. What's yours?
Last touchdown, it would be Matt Schaub.
It's not. 2014 was his last year. Case Keenum in Week 17 against the Jaguars. Yes, it's all right.
Keenum came back from the deer blind.
2 games, yeah.
Threw an 8-yarder to Dre. It was a touchdown that gave them the go-ahead lead, and they would beat the Jaguars.
Went 2-0. Ruined everybody's parlay against the Ravens the last week of the year.
They sure did. All right, Texans are gunning for a win. What 2 things must they do? What are the 2 keys to victory for Houston?
I don't want to, beat this drum every week, but you got to find a way to run the football, okay? This Texans passing attack has not materialized the way we wanted it to, and I know that there's been no Dameon Pierce for a while, but you got to find a way to move the football on the ground. Clearly got to get takeaways, short fields. When the Texans do well in these games or win, they get short fields. They get takeaways. You look at the yardage totals, they are painfully low. They've had 9 games below 300 yards total offense. That's just not going to get it done. So find a way to get some yards on the ground creatively once again. Maybe go with the Driscoll cat one more time. Maybe you get some magic that way, and then you'll pop some big plays through the air.
Yeah, my 2, in terms of short fields and how you're going to get those special teams in this game. The Texans have elite-level special teams. They're 3rd in DVOA in efficiency in special teams. The Colts are among the bottom of the league. They're 28th in efficiency on special teams. So I think that's another way to get some of those invisible yards that can get you a win, especially both these teams are starved for offense. So that's a good way to get good field position. And then, to my point earlier, keep Sam Ehlinger in the pocket. Don't let a backup quarterback come in and make all kinds of improv plays that ruin you on third down and things like that.
That was going to be one of mine. Make Sam Ehlinger look like Sam Ehlinger. Do that. So I'll go with explosiveness on offense. Give me 3 plays of 25 yards or more, and then I'll bang that drum. When the Texans have been +2 in a game in turnover margin this year, they've won both of them. Those are the only 2 +2. They just 2 more takeaways than turnovers. If they do that again, there's a good chance of that happening. If they do that again, they're going to win this. This is the worst team in the league in turnover differential in the Colts. Sean, thank you so much. Mark, as always, thank you as well. We appreciate you too watching us, and we'll be back again sometime soon on a channel near you with Texans 360. Till then, go Texans.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to know when we post new content.